All right, let's move on to the mailbag. Now we don't have too many questions here, but it's going to be fun to talk about. From Dan Stoyer, he says, "Hey guys, love the mailbag segment. What's your go-to food on game day? I personally love grilling out some delicious burgers, brats, and some fries."
Can't go wrong with that.
That's not bad.
Can't go wrong with that at all.
You know, a lot of times we have big Italian subs here on game day. We go over to one of the local delis, Wilkes, and just load up on Italian subs and prosciutto and mozzarella. Oh, it's so good.
So I love on both college football Saturday and NFL Sunday, this pizza place on the road called Kinchli's. We order a couple thin crust pies, some bar pies, mozzarella sticks, garlic bread parm. That's
great
been my go-to for the last few years. That was my whole life. Actually.
What are you doing, Ziggy? Some soup? I know you're a big soup.
Also, I'm a big pretzel guy. That is, I've started doing this. I bake some pretzels. That is, pretzel is a slept on game day food. I think, everyone thinks about like the wings or whatever. Pretzels rock.
Like the
Pretzels
big, like
great.
soft pretzels with like dips and stuff.
Yeah, they're actually really easy to make. You can just cook these up real quick, bake them. It's delicious.
There's a pretzel shop in town. I've been there every day for the last month and a half.
I have not gone.
It's fantastic.
Is it?
Yeah, it's very good.
Potential sponsorship. Second question from Dan. He says, "I saw that Goff got paid because of this contract. What will the Packers give Jordan Love now?" So Goff got a 4-year, $212 million contract extension that puts him at $53 million a year, number 2 in the NFL, behind Joe Burrow. I mean, we're talking a lot of money here. I actually think, though, when we're talking about the quarterback market, the $50 million club prior to Goff was Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. Those are superstar quarterbacks. Those are star quarterbacks. Goff, while he's had, he's played like a star lately, I don't put him in that same tier. And I think that what's crazy now is we're going to start seeing 50 million as kind of the benchmark for good quarterbacks. And it's sort of like, remember Daniel Jones got the $40 million a year contract, and that sort of put a lot of people over the top again. Like, quarterbacks are starting to take on more and more. Ziggy, this is what you enjoy talking about here. Quarterbacks are starting to take on more and more of the salary cap. Matt Ryan set the benchmark when he had $30 million a year in 2018. He's only 16.9% of the salary cap then. Jared Goff's number is 20.75% of the 2024 cap. So these quarterbacks are going higher and higher and higher. I think Jordan Love, man, he's going to get an extension this year. If Jordan Love waited a year, I bet he went into the 60s.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a few months ago, I was saying that I thought this would be a contentious negotiation between the Packers and Jordan Love. And everyone said, oh, no, the day he can, May 4th, 2024, the first day that he's able to ink that extension, they'll have a number locked up and he'll sign it right away. It's been a couple weeks, and the news isn't the deal's right around the corner. I'll tell you what stands out to me. It's not the dollar number. The dollar number is big, and I don't think a lot of people thought Goff was going to get that. It's the fact that the Lions were only able to get 4 years out of him. Right? So they are making a huge commitment to Jared Goff with this deal, right? Realistically, they can't cut him until at least year 3. And realistically, it's likely,
year 4 or 5.
Yeah, he's going to have to play out most of the rest of the deal. And the fact that they were only able to get 4 years tacked on for making a $53 million APY commitment to Jared Goff, they couldn't get a 5th year, mostly not guaranteed, that they could throw on there. Makes me think the market is even stronger than it looks from the outside.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have some thoughts about what this means for the Lions, and we'll talk about that at some point at a later date. But Jordan Love, I think he is going to sign a big contract for a short amount of time.
Okay. I know we gave the prediction earlier this year. I'm trying to remember what was your predict. Do you remember your prediction from earlier?
I don't.
So Jordan Love, let's say he gets his extension this offseason, which, it's going to probably happen. He's got to go for probably, is he going to match Burrow's number, you think, 55?
I think that Jordan Love will set a new standard on the market.
I'm starting to think that too. Originally, I thought he was going to be, 50 million or so, but now if Goff's getting 53, I think Love, I'm with you. I think Love's going to approach 60.
If I'm the Packers at this point, I'm willing to give Jordan Love the number he wants, but I'm demanding we get 5 years.
Could you see 60?
60 is high. Typically players, that's asking they come in at almost 10% more than the Burrow deal. That's not going to happen. But something like 56 a year for 5 years, I think, is not an unrealistic
Have you guys ever thought about like I mean, it's probably just me, but like sending a letter or something to a quarterback who's making like millions, be like, hey, I'm such a huge fan, blah, 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 this whole thing. Can you give me like $1 million?
$1 million? Yeah.
You get four of them to say yes, and you got $4 million right there. Have you ever thought of doing that?
Never.
Like, oh, like big, like Roethlisberger, I'm a huge fan, been all your games, blah, blah, blah. Like,
can I have $1 million?
Can you please give me like $500K?
It's insane.
Like for my family.
I sent something to Brett Favre once and got a signal thing.
Got a dick pic in return?
Oh, yeah. You can't set him up like that. You can't set him up like that.
You threw me a hanging curveball at 70 over the middle.
I was 7 years old, man.
I mean, that's.
Well, you didn't answer my question. So it's a no.
Yeah, I'm with you though, Ziggy. I think that Love is going to get a huge deal now, and it's better for the Packers to do it now. Look at the Cowboys with Dak Prescott. They keep waiting and waiting and waiting. That price tag just goes up. You know, Josh Allen, my guess is going to be the first guy to crack 60 whenever he restructures. Because Josh Allen's what, $43 million a year right now? I bet Josh Allen's the first guy to get to this.
Josh Allen is locked up until 2028. He's not the Bills are not going to redo that deal anytime soon. This is why it's so good and why getting as many years as you can is so important on a deal like this.
You don't think they'll restructure that?
Why would they? Is Josh Allen going to decide to stop playing for them? It's incredibly rare in the NFL when you have multiple years on a player's contract to just completely rip it up and say, we're going to ignore that contract you signed.
I mean, I guess it depends what Josh Allen does. If Josh Allen is looking at the situation saying, all right, these guys, like the market's completely reset. I do a lot. Clearly I do a lot for this team. And like, I understand that's a contract, but I can see him going to the Bills.
When you have multiple cost controlled years, there is basically nothing you can do as a player unless you are willing to retire.
I'm standing by it. I think Josh Allen would be willing to retire.
When was the last time that happened? That a player with multiple cost controlled years was able to get several years at the end of their deal completely ripped up. He might sign a big extension in like 2026, 2027 that adds some more expensive years. But that's a different thing.
Okay, maybe I'll go with that then. Yeah. I think Josh Allen is the first $60 million a year guy. That's the prediction I'm making.
We're going to hit there before Josh Allen is.
It might be Jordan Love. Okay, Slum Jit, who is a member.
What's his name? Slum Jit?
Slum Jit, yeah. That sounds like something inappropriate.
It sounds like you're getting it wrong.
Slum Jit, SLUMJIT. He's a member too, so we'll clap it up for Slum.
Maybe Slum Jeet. I almost spilled this.
That's it. I told you, man.
But he didn't. But he did.
He's a huge Packer fan and loved the podcast, and he wrote love, capital LOV, so that could be intentional. I'm just wondering why no one else.
I just had it on caps off a mistake.
Why no one's as high on the Vikings as they are the Bears. The Vikings, in my opinion, have a better offense than Chicago with Jones, Jefferson, TJ, and Addison. I think if they give JJ a shot, they have a higher ceiling than Chicago. I just feel like everyone's overlooking that. What do you all think? I'll take it and I'll throw it to you, Ziggy, as a fellow Viking fan. Quarterback.
I'll just run to the bathroom when you guys are done.
Ziggy, no, Jack, of course, Jack. I'm looking at two things. One, quarterback. When we talk about being quote unquote high on a team, we're talking about potential here. And Caleb Williams just has so much more potential in my eyes than JJ McCarthy. Even though I like JJ, I think he could be good. We have a good team around him. And Caleb Williams versus Sam Darnold, I think Caleb Williams is the guy you'd rather have there.
Two crap USC quarterbacks.
Yeah, right. And then on the other side of it, when you look at the defenses, Chicago's defense closed last year so strong. We remember that they really came on at the end. And the Vikings defense has more severe holes. So I do think the Vikings are probably being underrated going into this year, where with their win totals, I believe, is 6.5. I think they can actually hit that number and go over to get 8 wins maybe. But Chicago actually has real playoff potential with the team they have. That's why I would say it's rightfully so that they are being placed with higher expectations.
I think the other thing to keep an eye on is look at how the defense performed near the end of the season. The Vikings defense started really well, but once people figured out how you could beat Flores, the defense started to perform a lot worse. Meanwhile, it was the opposite story in Chicago, right? The defense started out really rough, but after that Montez Sweat trade, the defense looked completely transformed.
Yeah.
So I think, yes, you talk about the quarterback. That's a huge thing, right? And people are right, I think, to be higher on Caleb Williams than JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy has just not done nearly as much as Caleb Williams has done. And I think it's going to be a tougher adjustment period. But the defense, I think, also has to do some of the work in explaining that.
All right, let's go on to James Library. He says, another member. Thank you, James.
He's becoming regular. He's becoming regular.
He leaves comments all the time. It's super nice. He says, hey, guys, love what you're doing. I'm sure you'll make it to at least 13K subs by the time the season rolls around.
That'd be pretty awesome.
That'd be awesome. We're closing in on 11. My question is, and it's funny, reading this question, what is your favorite rivalry to watch that doesn't involve your team?
I was going to say Steelers-Ravens is automatic.
Well, that's the thing. I read the question. I went, it's Steelers. Like growing up too, because
Steelers, that's the best for sure.
Rooting against the Steelers. So I went out to hear it from Jack. I love those Steelers-Ravens games were so fun to watch. They still are. James says, I always try and make an effort to watch Steelers-Ravens.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
So there it is from James. I think Steelers-Ravens are.
That's the best.
Awesome.
I mean, clear cut is the best in football. Outside of that,
I mean, now it sucks, but
honestly, it doesn't though.
The games are still good.
Like we played Baltimore in meaningful games the last 4 years.
It's still great. Those games are always amazing.
We've beaten them too.
How about you?
Do we have to pick an NFL rivalry?
I'm going to say yes, but I want to hear where you're going anyway.
Because otherwise, I would have gone. Honestly, my favorite rivalry game to watch is just Army Navy. That is how football is meant to be played in a certain way. You don't get to see a whole lot of games like that.
That's the most absurd nonsense I've ever heard.
I hate
the Army Navy game.
I'm gonna try and say, I love America. I'm a huge fan of America. You're not gonna see me dissing the greatest country on earth. The Army Navy game is awesome to talk. It's awesome to be like, oh, it's Army Navy week, but then I'm like,
it's how football is supposed to be played.
I don't ever watch the Army.
It is the most boring football game.
Yeah, because you guys don't actually like football. You like passing.
No. I also like teams that are good. Like I don't care. I'll turn it on. No, I won't. I almost never turn it on. I see who wins, and I think, oh, I know some people, in the Army. I know some people in the Navy. I congratulate the winner. I think tradition is unbelievable. But in terms of me watching it, I don't really care.
My favorite rivalry ever is Pitt, West Virginia.
Another meaningless
backyard brawl. No, it's the backyard brawl. And then an NFL outside of Steelers Ravens, I really don't care about much else. Maybe I'd go
Vikings Saints.
Yeah, Cowboys Eagles. Is that a rivalry?
Yeah, it's a rivalry, but
sure it's a big rivalry.
Yeah.
I guess Cowboys Eagles.
How about you, Ziggy? NFL.
Give me any permutation of the AFC North.
Yeah, the AFC North is great.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look over here.
The NFL just doesn't have that many interesting rivalries. I'll be honest.
No. You know what? Right now, Bills Chiefs is must watch.
Although I do love the other AFC North games because I know one of those teams will lose that day.
So unless it's a tie, in which case they both lose, I guess.
Then it's
with the Chiefs.
A tie is basically a loss.
A tie is basically a loss, yeah.
With the Chiefs right now, I think Chiefs Bills and then Chiefs Bengals. Like those games are always awesome.
Those are good.
It's like the quarterback rivalries are better than some of the team rivalries right now, in my opinion. Ziggy, you're right. The Army Navy is an awesome rival.
Ziggy, you know what tying is like? Tying's like kissing your sister.
No, kissing your sister is worse than tying.
I think it's about equal.
Jack, what the F are you talking about?
Tying is worse than losing.
What?
When you
we're moving on. I don't want to hear this.
Before let's just move on. Let's for your sake, let's just move on.
Kissing your let's move on.
Yeah.
Please.
Mercury Road 55, another member. Thank you, Mercury Road. He says
it's just lips on lips, but it's just weird.
All right. Please stop. Please stop.
All right, Mercury Road. No. Mercury Road 55 says
I had to get it.
Cicadas are set to do a dual brood emergence throughout the Midwest in a once in 221 year phenomenon. I actually saw that. It's supposed to be the tons of cicadas. In that same time period, the Vikings have yet to win a Super Bowl, despite living above ground and not hibernating for 17 years. So my question is this. Should Viking seasons be referenced not in years, but cicada cycles, so it won't sound as bad? Example, we have never won a Super Bowl, but we're only 25% way through a double brood cicada cycle, so let's be patient. It feels better. Your thoughts? I'm going to just say F off, Mercury Road. That is... absurd.
I thought it was.
I love that.
No, no,
I
it's-
love that comment.
It's hysterical. It's very funny. I
thought it
understand.
was funny.
We never win.
He's invited to the Doherty
I know.
on Saturday.
I know we don't win. I know. That's a great comment.
He's
Good-
invited to the Doherty.
Good diss. When we win in Lambeau Field, I think I'm going to plant a Vikings flag in the middle.
Are you a
Before you
fan?
get tackled.
Are you a fan of daytime parties, Mercury Road? Because you're invited this
Yeah,
week.
feel free. That'll be fun. XX McLovin XX says, thank you, of course, always XX McLovin for your comments. He says, what are your thoughts on the Justin Fields and the toxic QB room in 2021? And on the Chicago topic, if Caleb plays mid-level and Chicago stinks, do you think that changes? And his question got cut off for some reason.
I think he's asking if Chicago will change coaches.
Yeah, I think Eberflus is on the hottest seat of anyone actually in the NFC North right now. I don't think it's particularly close because Chicago, especially with the new quarterback, a lot of times you think that breeds a little bit extra breathing room for your head coach. For some reason, with the Eberflus in Chicago, I think that they're willing to move on and bring in one of these hotshot younger guys and try and restart it. I mean, maybe even like a Ben Johnson or someone, who knows who it could be. Going to Chicago. So I think Eberflus needs a good year or he is gone.
Yeah, I don't know. The Bears are just doing the same thing they did with Nagy, right? Where they have the like borderline lame duck head coach, where he really needs to turn things around, or else they're going to sell him and
I get that
bring in
same-
a new coaching
same
staff in the
vibe.
QB's year too. I think that's baffling. That makes me think actually that they're going to stick with Eberflus unless things go really, really poorly. But I don't know. I am just puzzled at them not bringing in a coach who seems better positioned to make Caleb Williams succeed. But what do I know?
How big can your expectations really be right now when you're clearly not a top 2 team in the division with a rookie quarterback starting?
No, you're right. They can't be that high.
Like, yeah, like what's so bad about maybe
I
going?
mean, the Bears' odds of making the playoffs right now are minus 130. The expectation is in the building is they will make the playoffs.
I think that's absurd.
I think it is absurd, but like those are, we talk on the show. I keep saying they're a playoff team. Like people expect them to be decent. They rode last season. At the end of the year, they had momentum going, and now you think you upgrade a quarterback, you upgrade almost everywhere in Chicago.
You can't just say upgrade. You can't say upgrade a quarterback. You just can't say that right now.
All right, you assume that you upgrade a quarterback.
If Caleb Williams does not outperform Justin Fields last year, the coaching staff's gone. They're getting someone new to try and make it better.
Yeah, I would agree.
You can say that's not their fault. Maybe it's not, but that is just what is going to happen.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Matt Neals 8203, another member. Thank you, Matt. He says, "What do you guys think What do you guys think of the hottest Packers undrafted free agent prospect, Heyward Jablomi?"
I'm a Packer fan now.
It's really. I'll give you guys a little insider information on this. Just I'm an extremely gullible person. Maybe it's because I expect the best out of people, or I hope for the best out of people. I read this comment today, and I went like, Jablomi, that's a really weird last name. And I
Probably start looking up, figure out who.
I googled Heyward Jablomi.
He's invited to the Doherty.
I googled Packers free agent Heyward Jablomi, and I'm like, oh my god, I know what's happening here.
That's like a Mike Hunt situation.
Dyslexic Lemons says, if you could inherit any team's fan base to yours, which would it be and why?
Oh, I've got an easy answer.
What was the question?
You can inherit any team's fan base.
Any fan base to join the Steelers fan base. Who would you want?
I'm taking the Packers. I don't want the Packers to have any fans. 0 Packers fans in the world. I'd be so excited.
I think I would take the Eagles fan.
Oh,
Steelers.
Dude, what?
Steelers and Eagles in one, rooting for one team. That would be amazing.
That'd be an absurd home field advantage.
That would be, nobody would win there.
People
Imagine
killed in that state.
Yeah, the Eagles for sure.
I have 2 answers.
Pennsylvania, baby.
One would be the Packers fan base, because it's unfortunate, but I do really like the Packers fan base. Like every Packers fan I know is really nice. And then for the Vikings, forming that northern wall for Wisconsin and Minnesota. I mean, that's a friendly fan base. You're just chilling out, eating brats, and you got a ton of people, a lot of fans. The Packers have the top 5 largest fan base. The other one,
they travel well too.
Yeah, I would love the Packers. Bills Mafia would be a ton of fun.
Oh, that would be a lot of fun.
Lunatics. They're lunatics.
Yeah,
that would just be a blast hanging out. I think the Vikings have, one of the best, if not the best fan base in football.
Your fan base sucks.
We have a great fan base. You kidding me? Phenomenal fans, great home field advantage. Minnesota.
I remember that's
very good.
that stadium was so quiet against the Giants, and you guys, it was just pathetic. You
Super
guys
loud. What are you talking about? We also had nothing to cheer for that game, but two, the stadium was great.
It sounded quiet. It sounded quiet on TV.
The building.
It sounded quiet. I forgot you were there. It was quiet on TV though.
Sammy 50599 says, happy to catch another mailbag. First off, Paul, how was Wisconsin? Super fun. Again, I don't think I would be able to survive in Madison if I went to school there because I would just be having way too much fun.
That's what I said about Auburn.
Would love to hear more about your trip. Now for the main question, Jack. Do you see the Steelers?
Some love, baby.
Do you see the Steelers using their black magic to either resurrect Russell Wilson or unlocking Justin Fields' potential?
Why not both? Well, I'm gonna say I'd prefer if I had to choose between two to resurrect Russell Wilson. I think Justin Fields' potential is super, super high. I've said it before.
Yeah, but wouldn't you prefer that?
If you
get a franchise
no,
quarterback.
but if you resurrect Russ, that's the man who won a bowl.
But you get Fields for like 8 years.
But yeah, Fields is younger. That's the thing. Yeah. Well, you're talking just this year, or like for the Steelers, like going forward.
Well, do you think that either of those guys?
If you're talking resurrected Russ for this upcoming season, we're winning the Super Bowl.
Do you think that it'll happen?
No.
Do you think they'll get anything out of Fields, or do you think this is going to blow up?
No. I mean, if we were to get something, I think it's probably out of Fields. I think he's much younger. Was he 24, 25 years old?
The nice thing for you guys though is there's really no stake in the game. You know, you're paying nothing to Russ. You gave up a 6th-round pick for Fields.
I'd say overall, over time, the answer is obviously Fields, unlocking his potential. If you're talking for this upcoming season, a Russ resurrection.
But you don't expect either to happen.
I mean, I want to say yes, but probably not.
Do you have anything on that, Ziggy? Or?
I don't expect a Russ resurrection. Maybe a Fields unlocking the potential.
I think the Russ resurrection is more likely.
I'll
agree. Say that much.
I'm with you.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we've seen Russell Wilson be a great NFL quarterback before. We have never seen Justin Fields be a great NFL quarterback. And until we see that from Justin Fields, that's what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
From JK Zarata, who is a member. Thank you, JK. And let me know the pronunciation. I'll get it right for the next mailbag. He says, who do you feel has the greatest international fan base? Over the past several years, my wife and I have been lucky enough to travel to many countries, mostly in Europe. And everywhere we go, we see a ton of Packer apparel. Just this last Christmas, I talked about the Packers locker room in a small vendor in Vienna. To me, Ziggy, do you have the rest of that? It gets cut off for me here.
Let me pull it up here.
I was going to say the Cowboys, probably.
So in terms of fan bases,
I've got it pulled up. So to me, it feels like the Packers have a global presence, but I'm not sure if it's just my green and gold goggles. I also tend to see a lot of 49ers and Cowboys gear everywhere I go. Who do you think is the best international presence for the NFL?
I mean,
we'll dig at the Vikings. So I'm not going to read.
Always remember, you got to read it.
As a side note, whether in the U.S. or abroad, anytime I see someone rocking Bears apparel, I can't help but think, that's so cute. That's a real fan right there. It might be the same for Vikings fans, but I'm not sure I've ever actually seen one in the wild.
In the wild.
I mean, I think the answer has to be, there are a lot of Packers fans out there, don't get me wrong, but it has to be the Cowboys, right?
It's got to be.
The Cowboys have a massive.
Dallas is like the Yankees.
I also think that the 49ers have a huge, they are massive. I know when I went out, agreeing with the comment here, when I went out to Europe for a little while, you definitely saw 49er stuff out there. I would guess those Dallas and San Francisco. The Steelers are big, but Steelers are probably in there. Patriots are probably somewhere in there. Packers, but I think Dallas and San Francisco, I remember seeing a lot.
Giants.
You know who you always see for you saw two things mostly when you were abroad. Everyone has a Yankee hat everywhere.
Yankees, yeah.
Yankee hat is everywhere. And
Michael
Dame. Jordan.
Oh, Michael Jordan.
And Michael Jordan. Those were the two that I remember seeing all the time. It was Yankee hats and Michael Jordan. Not like random Chicago Bulls stuff. Jordan. From DD Jenkins 5409, he says, I know you guys love these questions. So do you think Christian Watson will have his breakout year in Green Bay this year, or did he only have hype because Aaron Rodgers threw him the ball like Alan Lazard? Breakout?
Christian Watson is not Alan Lazard. I think that a breakout year, that depends on what that means. Mm-hmm. But I expect Christian Watson, assuming he can stay healthy, to put up 700 or 800 yards and a handful of touchdowns.
Agree. I
think he'll have a very good year, but I think it's just, I've said this before, I think it's tough for any one of these receivers to break out because there's just so many of them.
Yeah.
I think Jordan Love will spread the wealth, but that's what the Packers fans should want.
Yeah, a true breakout. If you're talking about like a 12 or 1300 yard season, I don't see that coming from Christian Watson.
800 yards for sure. Yeah.
People had high expectations for him last year. He battled the injury bug. I believe he had hamstring problems a lot of the year. But whenever he played, he looked good. When he was healthy, he looks good. So I don't think that Christian Watson, by any means, is someone who you're going to be disappointed in when he's on the field. It's just, yes, there are so many other people in Green Bay. I mean, even Josh Jacobs now. Like, you have stars all over the place on that offense. I don't think he's going to get the volume to truly break out in that regard. But you'll get good play from him at receiver. So I'd be excited still if I were a Packer fan. Okay, let's move on here. Just a couple more now. From Craig Sheeran 602, he says, I've seen Super Bowl and Texans thrown around a lot. Do you think CJ Stroud will go to the Super Bowl this upcoming season? We've gotten this a few times. It's hard to say, Eddie. You can never predict someone to go to the Super Bowl.
The answer is probably not.
Yeah, the answer is probably not. I put the Texans behind the Chiefs, behind the Ravens, behind the Bengals, and probably behind one of the AFC East teams in terms of who I think will go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, to ask, like, do you think he will go to the Super Bowl? The answer is no. But I also am not even sure. I think Houston is a Super Bowl contender. Yeah.
But I don't think they're higher than at least 4 AFC teams.
I mean, they can go to the Super Bowl.
100% they can.
They can. A lot of teams cannot.
Yes.
And Houston can.
From Merle. Merle says, with each year, quarterback contracts get larger and larger. Do you think it would be a smart idea to add a cap to how much one player can make? No. I think that part of it is strategy too. If teams want to hand out $70 million to a quarterback and eat up all of their cap, go for it. That's what you do with your money. Then. Yeah, I agree. It hurts the rest of your roster. I think that every player has the right to make as much money as they possibly can, and at some point, team building becomes a factor, and that's a decision that GMs have to make when navigating contracts. Ziggy, you're more of a contract guy than either of us. Would you say that I perfectly
you shouldn't put in a rule like that? Yeah, it's an open market as much as it can be. If there's already a limit on how much an individual player can make, namely the salary cap minus whatever you need in order to sign 51 undrafted free agents to a league minimum. You shouldn't be putting caps further than that.
We got 4 more questions here, guys. Will Lamar, from Jeremy also always leaves comments, so we appreciate that, Jeremy. Will Lamar Jackson's lack of playoff success hinder his likelihood to win a 3rd MVP? Should that have any effect whatsoever? No, it should not have any effect on the MVP.
But it will.
You think it will?
I cannot see NFL voters, unless something really bizarre happens. I don't think voter fatigue is a thing, right? People get tired of voting for the same people year after year. Voter fatigue for a guy who I think not through much fault of his own, but nevertheless has struggled to win a lot of games in the playoffs. I do not think voters are going to be excited to hand a historic 3rd MVP to a guy who hasn't had a lot of postseason success. I mean, if the
Ravens are 14-3 this year and Lamar's unbelievable, I think he can very easily win MVP.
I think if there is a case for anyone else, Lamar's not going to get it.
What do you think, Jack? You are a Raven hater. Could you see Lamar getting a 3rd MVP?
I'm a Raven hater, but yes, I mean, it's tough to see him if he wins the AFC North.
I mean, I'm just like look at the other, like Dak is 8th in MVP odds. Josh Allen's 2nd. Justin Herbert is up there in top 10. Like, these guys don't have much playoff success. I know they don't have Dak is known as a choker, and so is Josh Allen. I get it though, Ziggy. You are saying like to give a 3rd MVP to him, maybe not, but I would expect them to.
Like, if Baltimore's right, they're 13-4 and win the North. Like, how is he not the MVP?
Yeah, if they're the 1 seed again, like.
Yeah, I guess if not, then you can go to like Mahomes.
Yeah. Luis Portillo, 6459, another member. Thank you, Luis. He says, here we go. You're going to enjoy this section, Ziggy. I asked this in the comments before understanding the rules, but for Ziggy, what do you think of Nietzsche?
Come on, try that again. Try that again.
Nietzsche. Nietzsche. There's no
good hustle.
Who on earth is that?
I thought Nietzsche was pretty good.
No, hold on. You got to ask the other.
Is that a philosopher?
You got to ask the philosophy question that was aimed at Jack.
Is that a philosopher?
The long and short of it is that I think that Nietzsche gets almost everything wrong. but I think he's valuable insofar as he's carefully and systematically presenting something that really pushes against the kinds of things you're ordinarily inclined to think. He's very countercultural in this way, and I think that makes him helpful. He's worth reading.
I can't wait for the philosophy episode when Jack and I are just pounding beers, and then we see like a power hour of Ziggy philosophy hour. I like that right there. The power hour Ziggy philosophy hour.
You got to ask the Jack philosophy question from amazing.
I will fake sick the episode of Ziggy's power hour philosophy hour.
Oh no, you won't.
What happens with me and you? That's for members. The amazing Oppo 4918 says, first question, Ziggy, do you have any famous philosophers that you absolutely hate?
Oh.
Depending on what hate means. If it's a sense of I think they're dead wrong.
You have to listen to this.
No, Jack, the second question's for you.
Second question's for you.
Yeah,
the first, I'd probably go something like Nietzsche. I really don't like what he say. I think Locke is an incredible bore to read. Sorry, Antonia. I can't handle John Locke. Gassendi's kind of annoying. Those are a few people.
Drew Locke.
Hegel's impossible.
Second question, Jack, can you name any philosopher? Not any of the ones Ziggy just said.
Aristotle, Socrates. Screw you, I'm out.
The amazing Oppo. All right, we got one more question here from Butt Pounder 420 here, boy.
Wait. Is it Socrates or Socrates?
You got it right.
I got it right. I got Socrates.
You got it right. You got it right.
Zig, are you impressed?
People don't understand this, but Jack is a great thinker.
People do think that I'm dumb.
Okay, Jack, in all seriousness, you have a chance to really impress me here. Tell me one thing that Aristotle wrote in one of his philosophy books. Just one thing.
Oh shoot! I actually, sophomore year of college, I took a philosophy class, and I got a B in the class. I did pretty decent, and I remember learning about Aristotle. What do you say? He proved that a straw has one hole, not two, right? Or am I wrong?
Get out of here, Jack.
Look, that question geared for me was, can you name a philosopher? I named two.
No, indeed. you said you wanted to impress me. You're asking for
gravy and turkey.
I'm not asking for you to give me posterior analytics 219 analysis.
You're asking for the gravy. I supplied the turkey. It's all I needed. I don't need to pour on the gravy now.
If there's any reason to be a member, it's to listen to the Ziggy Power Hour Philosophy Hour episode.
It's Aristotle. I got that right too. Aristotle. It's not Aristotle. Is Aristotle?
No, you're dominating.
I'm also a philosopher.
The final question:
Aristotle, Socrates, and Jack Weinberger. Those are three philosophers I can name.
From Pounder 420 says, "Why is it that every time I try to go where I really want to be, it's already where I am? Is it because I'm already there?" Ziggy, that's for you.
I don't understand what that means. I'm going to be real with you.
I'm already where I am. Is it because I'm already there? I can't even. Butt Pounder, you've completely perplexed the entire show.
You know what will also shock you guys?
What?
I know the capital of every state in the country.
Every state.
Every state. I know the capital of every state in the country. And you would not believe me.
Name a state.
Name a state.
Arkansas.
Little Rock. I know the capital of every state in the United States.
I mean, I have no way of proving it.
I'm just telling you that you wouldn't expect me to know that.
Every state. Ziggy, do you have a list in front of you?
I know most of the capitals.
Not all.
No, probably not. That's I could not tell you what the capital of Vermont is.
Montpelier.
Yeah. So you know it.
I mean, guys, Jack. Give me New Hampshire.
No more.
New Hampshire.
That's
got him.
Concord.
Nope, he got it.
Yeah, the guy's good.
No more philosophy stuff, but ask me my capitals and I will nail it.
All right, we'll wrap up the show with that. Thanks again for everyone if you stuck around for the entire thing. The mailbag was great as always. We appreciate everyone sending in their questions. We're definitely going to be releasing videos over the next couple weeks of schedule predictions game by game. That's always a good time. Please remember to also like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Whenever we drop these mailbag posts, just submit a question. We'll try to get to as many as we can. And remember that if you sign up to be a member, you will have everything that you write read off on the show, including things like Heyward Jablomi. That will be read on the show.
Paul, I will. I will.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. We'll see you next week for the Paul Farrington Show.